The Dallas Cowboys in 22 days are going to land Dalvin Cook. Woo! Ow! Hold on. Pucker up. Let's bring my boy Philly 500 in. What's that puss for?
I do not shake. I do not shake. I am not scared of Dallas whatsoever. But I will say this: if they do get Dalvin Cook, I think that would be a hell of a move for them. I think that would be the right move for them because they've got to keep up with the Eagles somehow.
Yeah. Oh no, that's absolutely true. I brought this up in the first hour, Philly, and you tell me if you think that this is. Let me ask you, how important was LeGarrette Blount in your opinion in 17 as a red zone back?
Extremely important. I think he was really, really important. I don't know if our offense is quite the same without him because we got Jay Ajayi at the trade deadline, and LeGarrette Blount just got stronger and stronger as the year went on. So I think he was a very underrated move, especially like late, what was it, June when they got him? So yeah, definitely. Big time.
Okay. Before you vomit on yourself and need a bib, I'm going to throw this at you here. Last year, Ezekiel Elliott had 12 touchdowns. Couldn't he fill that same red zone role? Hold on before you vomit on yourself. Couldn't he fulfill that same red zone role? Swift is a die from 20 to 20. Wouldn't you have the same dynamic almost as what you had in 17 in a back that has a nose for the end zone? Man, it looks like you got agita right now. What do you think of this potential move here? And you bring in a guy who wants to stick it to Dallas.
I like the idea of sticking it to Dallas, but I would say, oh, man, I don't know that we need Ezekiel. I mean, listen, I know Penny's hurt a lot, but if he can theoretically stay healthy, he should be able to get us red zone touchdowns. No.
Come on, man. You're rubbing the magic lamp praying that this guy's going to play.
I know.
Zeke last year had 12 touchdowns.
I know.
See, you just hate the fact the guy had a star on his hat.
That's it. I'm not going to lie. I have like a lot of problems with guys with stars on their helmets that come over to Philly. It always goes bad for us. Remember DeMarco Murray? Horrible. Got Scandrick. He came over. It's like every time we take a Cowboy player, they're horrible. They're just horrible with us. So on that level, yeah, I definitely have to pause about it. I mean, I get what you're saying though. Like as a compliment to Swift, and you get red zone carries. Yeah, I mean, sure, he could get you a lot of touchdowns. I think that's about it. But I think LeGarrette Blount, when LeGarrette Blount played for us, and I mean this honestly, in 2017 when Blount played for us, I think he had more left than Zeke has right now.
Fair enough. And plus, I'm not sure Zeke's ready to make that transition into that role on being that role
there's
player
too many good restaurants in Philly for Zeke. He'll be defensive tackle by the year end, my man.
Let me throw this at you too here. I want to make a comparison because we've been talking kind of about it today with, you watched Daryl Morey today at a press conference talking about bringing James Harden back, and you see a guy tethering himself to a shitback and James Harden, and he's just not a winner. Then you see Howie Roseman, and you see Howie. Here's the cool thing about Howie. So he moves off of a mistake,
right?
And Wentz doesn't sit there, turns around and ties himself to Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I think right then and there is the number one difference between the Sixers. I mean, Philly, there can't be any coincidence that you miss on Folks. You miss on Butler decision, the Ben Simmons deal. Now the character of the GM coming out. His resume's tied to James Harden, not the Sixers. And you went through 10 years of losing to be here? And then you look at what Howie's done. Dude, I think this just slam dunks more what Howie Roseman has brought to the Eagles and how well that organization is run.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you, like, I mean the Fultz mistake, that was a definite mistake. They should have took Tatum. There's no question about it. But to me, the move that with Butler is the unforgivable move. That to me is the move that I can't get over. Like, I cannot, as a Sixer fan, get over this, because Jimmy Butler was on your team. He was on your roster, and you don't let him out of the building. Howie Roseman never would have let him out of the building. And I tell you this, I mean this. If Butler's a Sixer still, I believe we have at least 2 titles. I believe they have at least 2 titles. They get by Atlanta. They would have got by Boston. Jimmy Butler's a stone cold killer, and you need stone cold killers to come up at the right time. And so I thought that was the mistake that's unforgivable by the Sixers. And there's no way Howie Roseman would have let that guy out of the building. No
Absolutely. Way. I brought this up about Nakobe. He's my biggest question mark this year going into the July training camp. And here's why. I don't think the conversation with Nakobe Dean, Philly, is talent issue. I think the guy's talented, but he's a schwimp. He's a small dude. So how they play him, I said this, they got to play him more in a Tampa 2, which means that those tackles have to be effective in stopping the run and keeping those big horses off him. Play him a little deeper. You got to play him at the mic. You can't play him at will. You can't play him as a Sam Backer, which is the outside. You can't, because he's not going to be able to line up against a Dallas Goedert or Travis Kelce.
Right.
Just physically, Philly, covering them. So it's the importance on Desai and maybe even Patricia figuring out, like they did last year with Hassan Reddick, how to use this kid.
Yeah, obviously. I think so. And I think he's got to play inside. Personally, I think you want him behind those defense tackles. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. I do. I'm very excited about Nakobe Dean. He's got a lot of talent, and we have seen undersized linebackers before be good. We'll see what he got. But, yeah, I think how they use him is very important. I do want to say one thing about the Butler thing. I see somebody in there saying Butler was going to leave anyways. If you would have fired Brett Brown, Butler would have stayed. Butler didn't stay because of Brett Brown. Brett Brown left the next year. They fired him. They should have fired him then, and you would keep Butler. So I just had to say that, because we have to have.
Well, let me add to what you just said. They're never going to win an NBA championship with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia, and I'll tell you why. Name me a big center outside of Hakeem Olajuwon and maybe Russell that was the focal point and the go-to guy. Not even Shaq. Shaq had Penny Hardaway, Kobe, and Dwayne Wade. Look at all the big centers that have been superstars in the NBA that have had somebody on the perimeter. The reason why Ewing never won is because he never had another guy that was out there to be the closer. All those big guys had closer dudes that could close the deal, because Shaq wasn't a good free throw shooter. And, dude, when you watched the Joker last night, come on, man. That guy's the best player on the planet. I mean, he was sensational last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard right now because it's disappointing. Embiid came up really small in that game. There's no question about it. But I do really think if you had a closer like Butler, he would have matched up perfectly with Embiid. Boston doesn't win Game 7 because there is no Game 7, because they don't blow that lead in Game 6.
But you knew Game 6, once they blew that Game 6, it was over, right?
Yeah, Boston is a heel in my side for since I've been young. I hate that team. I hate that team with a passion.
I can't believe how good Jason Tatum is, though, man.
Yeah, he's good.
That's that's got to be one of the greatest 7th games I've ever seen in NBA history. Him closing that thing out with 50 points.
I hate that team so much. I hate Boston.
Wait a minute. Do you hate the team or do you hate the fans, or both?
No, I hated Larry Bird. I hated McHale. I just hate all of them. I hate both, and they always seem to have our number. It's like us beating the Giants all the time. It's how I feel. Like, they always get the best of us, and it makes me sick.
Too many white guys. It's okay. I get it. Hey, I always used to say this. So wait, McHale.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Wait a minute. Wait, McHale, Bird. Okay. And then Edelman, Amendola, Welker. Let me move on. Hey, so what are the Eagles?
I have to think about. Yeah, I have to think about that now. Yeah,
Hey,
maybe that's why.
In case you're on a boring day, Edelman, Welker, Amendola, Gronk, Brady.
I just think about the old. You remember the old? There's an old fight between Dr. J and Larry Bird, and Larry Bird and Dr. J just pummeling his face. I that's like one of my favorite memories in life. Gonna lie to you.
What do we do at the 3-hole for a wide receiver for the Eagles? What do you want to see them do?
I mean, I don't mind if they bring in competition, if they want to bring somebody else to compete. But I got to tell you, I think I'd like to see Quez at least battle out for that third wide receiver spot. I would like to see him fight for the job and win it because I think he still has talent left. I just think he had a bad year, some really bad drops. But I think there's still more to be written about his story. Like I feel like he should at least have some competition. If you want to bring in like a Landry or somebody like that, I would be fine with it. But compete for that spot.
How about Devin White? Any do you think that here's what I heard yesterday, that the Buccaneers and his folks aren't going anywhere. They're not doing anything. You think Jason Light, the general manager, and Howie should at least have would you be cool with that, or do you think it would be too rich and too much money and too much draft equity to get, because he's a Roquan Smith kind of guy?
Me personally, on a personal level, I would love it. I think that the Eagles don't give enough attention sometimes to the linebacker position. So I would absolutely love it, but I don't think they'll do it. I just don't think that's the way they operate. Because you're gonna have to give White, you're gonna have to give him a brand new contract, right? And they're not gonna pay. They're gonna not pay a linebacker a lot of money. They're better off with a guy like, somebody that comes in, has
CJ Mosley
contract. Yeah, if they could get him cheap, they have to get him on a deal level. Kaiser White is a perfect example. A guy that had played a few years, was on a team, and maybe wanted a 1-year deal to see if he could get something else somewhere else. And that's the kind of linebackers they bring in. They don't spend a lot of money on linebacker. I can't really think of, maybe Nigel Bradham was the last guy that they spent money on as a linebacker, and that was only because of Schwartz having so much input on that defense at the time. I don't think that they spend money on linebackers. I mean, they went out and got Nicholas Morrow. I think they're perfectly content with him and Nakobe Dean. I'm not saying I would do it, but I don't think they will.
All right, I'm going to end with this, and I need your help on this. Why is it – and see, my boy Niner all day in here. Man, I'll tell you, I'd never seen more guys crying in my life than these 49er guys, man. I mean –
biggest baby.
Philly, what – how come these guys are moaning and crying so much? I mean, I've never seen a fan base need a bib, or I've never seen a fan base – they should have Binky night. The night that the Eagles play the 49ers, where you're selling those little binks you give the babies. I mean, what's up with this? Yeah. Why are they crying so much?
That's a great idea. I don't know. And the thing is I always used to think like the 49ers were okay. Like, the 49ers, they hate Dallas. I can respect that. But what I realize is that some of these teams that won in the 80s and 90s, haven't really done anything since. They're very entitled. I think their fan base is very entitled. They think that they deserve something. They think they're owed something. And I think, I think that they're spoiled brats because they can't take what happened in that championship game. And the truth is Purdy got hurt because Hassan Reddick knocked him into next week, not because of anything else. It wasn't like he hurt himself coming out of the tunnel or he tripped warming up. He hurt himself because the game was played that way. So I think that they're entitled brats, just like the Cowboy fans.
I actually heard that. I heard that their cheerleaders have cannolis, and so I heard it was. I heard. I just heard that like half the crew had cannolis. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little confusing out there. I worked out there in the Bay Area at times. You know where I'm going there.
I know. I cannot comment on that. I do not know. I have not been down to that stadium, nor do I plan on going anytime soon.
I'll tell you the last thing, the one last player that I cannot wait to see how they use Nolan Smith. I am so excited to see how they use him. I think he's going to have a massive impact on this team.
Right away, huh?
Yeah, that's right away. I think he has there's just something about the kid that really I'm attracted to when it comes to how I think he's going to be an impact on that team. He's got a lot of leadership qualities.
Yeah, I like everything I've seen about him so far. If he can have an impact and play, I mean, that's what you want. You want rookies to come back and be impactful. You figure Jalen Carter, hopefully he starts right away. Then if you get an impact player in Nolan Smith, that gives you two guys right out of the first round. That would be great. I don't know what to expect from him. I just would have him follow Hassan Reddick everywhere. Whatever Hassan Reddick does, I want him to do, because he needs to learn from him, because I think they're similar players.
I hope I didn't upset your stomach in any way. So
no, well, I'm not going to eat the cannoli I have ready for me. Huh? I think I'm going to pass on it.
Stay away from the cheese.
I don't want that cannoli now.
Billy, it's always great catching.
Doesn't sound as good. Thank you.
I love you, brother. Thank you so much
too.
for spending time with us, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
That's my boy, Philly 500. All right, hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.